So dance with me now, me now.
Good morning, Guam. Right on. Morning. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, my brother.
All right, my brother. Sabrina's out today, guys. She took the booster yesterday.
And she's a tad bit
Down for the count.
yeah. And if you know Bree, I mean her
She's
work
a tough lady.
her work ethic alone rivals most energy drinks.
Right, yeah. And so, of course, she is coming in later. Yeah.
So if she can't go, I mean, but by no means do we want to scare you guys away from taking the booster. Please do. And I even messaged her this morning because she's like, hey, can you do news? Because I'm not going to be in this thing's, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a tad bit like underwear. But I said, hey, remember what Dr. Felix Cabrera said? If you feel something, that means it's working.
Yeah, that means it's working, Bree.
And plus, take it from me, because I just got the booster this past weekend. If you had any effects or any symptoms after you got like your second shot, which you should have,
Your panty.
from the vaccine. Well, it's not. It doesn't. It comes on faster. It doesn't last as long, and it goes away way quicker.
Right, because it's like a third of the dose.
Yeah.
Correct.
So like in 6 hours, you'll be, and
To each
literally,
his
I mean,
own,
you can bat your eyes and like,
Take your time, guys.
I'm
Take
good.
your time. The precedent has been set. Some people have gotten sick for a day after the booster. So my advice to you guys, as your friend, go get the booster on a weekday. Take a day off. You know what I mean? Hey, I just got the booster, not feeling good. You know what I mean? I'm not a superwoman like Sabrina. I'm not doing a half day. I just don't feel it. Maybe I should just take the day off. Okay? You're welcome, guys. So go get your booster. Jay, where can they get the booster?
You can get the booster shot at UOG. You can make an appointment. You can also check any of your private clinics, your preferred private clinic, and give them a call. See what's going on. If you want to check out and make an appointment for you or your friends, it's really, really easy to do. Again, take it from I just did it the past weekend. It took me 2 minutes tops, and I'd never been to the site before. tinyurl.com/VaxGuam, VAXGUAM, and they use Eventbrite. So if you've ever booked concert tickets, or
it's like a concert, but it's totally not.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's like getting concert tickets, because it says okay, Chris Barnett.
Does that feel cool though, Jay? When you register in the tiny URL and then you're like, oh, I got my tickets.
Yeah, it's also interesting when you say you want to get the shot and it says how many in your party. I was like, oh really? But remember, you can have up to 4 in the same car.
Less than 10 vaccinated.
Yeah. But since we are talking about family, and I'm a member of our Link family, all of you guys out there are watching. We said good morning, brother Chris. Good morning, brother Jason. Speaking of family, if you want to honor your loved ones, of course, this All Souls Day is very, very different because of the Delta variant surge. But Mass is going on right now. It's streaming. I just got my notification on Facebook down at Cathedral. So if you guys want to watch it, it's facebook.com/Agania Cathedral. The 6 a.m. Mass has already started.
And then there's also some evening masses. Like I know St. Francis has a 6 p.m. Mass. Remember, there's no masses at the cemeteries, but they did kind of change it up this year where they're allowing people to go to the cemeteries. I don't think any of the limits or restrictions apply.
Yeah, I've got that coming up in news and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, but everybody's basically been saying, this is a part of our heritage, our culture, our tradition. I mean, even to say it's an obligation would be really devaluing it, because everybody knows, like on All Souls Day, this is something you have to do. Like, and employers on Guam, private sector, federal, public sector, I mean, they treat this like election day. They're like, hey, you get, what was it, 2 hours, 3 hours?
Yeah.
To go and,
and before, when it was pre-COVID, I mean, that could easily turn into 4 hours because it's always so packed at this. Remember that, Jay? How packed it would be at the cemeteries with the masses and everyone's like hot.
And your manager would say, okay, well, everybody, like, when I worked at, remember Talaza 2000?
Right.
We had our tech support department. We had, we had the programmers. We had
Talaza 2000.
Yeah. We had the system administrators.
011 plus the innovators.
Everybody.
IT&E.
Everybody's, what's this internet thing? So we were doing that. We had like all of us tech people there. And the manager, shout out to Narissa. She would say, okay, well, you guys, try and, schedule everybody so that you guys can take care of your All Souls Day, responsibilities. And everybody was like, okay, I'm going to the 12 o'clock mass. And then everybody was gone.
Right. Yeah. And there would always be different masses. Oh, it feels like we're talking about ancient history.
Yeah.
When we talk about pre-COVID, right, Joe?
What is one
Listen
of
to
those?
this. Like, they used to have masses at the cemeteries, and a lot of people would go, and they wouldn't wear masks.
What do you think is a religious holiday on Guam, because so much of Guam is Catholic, that so many employees would participate? Would it be All Souls Day, or would it be
Santa Maria
Camalan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
Camalan Day. Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody is like, okay, procession, and usually it's like 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah. So I wonder what we're going to do with that this year.
Well, if you remember last year, speaking of the cathedral,
She went on a stroll patrol.
our Blessed
But
Mother.
CJ, the price of gas right now, it's up $5. I don't know if Santa Maria Camalan is going to be doing a stroll patrol. They might have to take up an extra donation.
I'm
in
pretty
church.
sure that the church
This-
would qualify
this,
for a break.
This offering is going just for Santa Maria Camalan's gas to go around the island on December 8th.
But if you remember last year, and Joser and I, we were tracking this. We even brought their live stream into our show, and our Blessed Mother
Ooh, that was awesome.
was taken around on the back of at least I think it was one, and they may have
was a
switched,
truck.
but a truck.
Yeah.
And then they live streamed from like 3 different angles, and it was
Ooh.
absolutely amazing.
Man,
And if you remember at that time,
that was the best.
Yeah, we went to their live stream just as our Blessed Mother was making her way on the back, like towards the ER at GMH.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know that road anywhere. And she went there, and you could see like the nurses went out, and even from like far away, and it was over streaming, so it wasn't entirely clear. You could see them overcome with emotion.
Yeah.
Some weeping, some just overjoyed.
What
And-
happened to that, guys? Remember that time when we were all just united, and now it's like divided, right? Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to rain on your parade.
Yeah.
Yeah, election.
Yeah. So
It's election time.
So we're going to be talking to our friends. Obviously the church has has a lot on their shoulders today.
Of course.
Today being All Souls Day. Yeah. So wait, is today one of the days we're not supposed to make noise, right? I mean, that's Holy Week, obviously.
That's Holy Week. You're always mixing it up.
I know.
But I mean, if you didn't want to make noise today, I'm fine with that. Who doesn't want Jason to make noise today, guys? Raise your hand.
No, there aren't enough emojis in the collection to.
Are you going to do news without making noise?
No, but it was All Souls Day one of those days when you're just supposed to like really.
Yeah, you should chill. I mean, don't have a fiesta or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you could speak.
Because
It's a good day to talk about, your loved ones who have passed on, right? I was thinking about my grandma this morning.
Care to share like
the
a memory?
late Rosario Flores Tenorio. Awesome woman. How many of us, like our grandmas, were just so amazing?
Selfless.
Man, my grandma was just the best. And she passed when I was just starting to hit the teenage years, and really saddened by a lot of times in my life. I wish, I wish grandma was around to ask her what she thought, or to get some of her wisdom. But trust me, because my mom's very good at that, because she's always reminding me, oh, my mom used to say this, or oh, my mom used to say that. But my grandma's a miracle worker, because, a lot of us cousins, we grew up in my grandma and grandpa's house. You guys know how it is, right? So at any one time, we would have like 10 to 15 to 20 first cousins all living in the same house. And my grandma would feed all of us with one chicken.
Yep.
She was like from the Bible. Jesus fed all the people with the 2 loaves of bread or whatever. That was my grandma with one chicken. She would cut that chicken into like 400 pieces and make sure there was always a lot of kaddu to go on the rice. Yeah, totally awesome.
Grandma always made it work.
That's always, yeah.
Well, my nana, the late Orfa Camacho Salas, she of course she had 9 children. My dad was the oldest, and then my uncle Jimmy came over from my cousin's family and went to live with them. So essentially she raised 10 kids, and then my sister and I are the oldest of, I believe, like 50 grandchildren. And as I got older, when I was in college, and my dad would always tell me, because there was that tradition, kind of like your family, where every single weekend me and all of my cousins and all of my aunties and uncles would always go over to the house in Agani Heights, and it would be like an all afternoon,
right?
Just fellowship and hang out, and just enjoy each other's company, right? As we got older, kind of that thing started to become like less and less. So my dad would always tell me, and my dad would really leverage a tomorrow guilt trip. He'd be, every single time I talk to Nana, she's always like, "Where's my boy? I miss him. How come he never comes?" And so when I would go over there, and I hear this all the time. She's always asking about you. She's wondering how you're doing. She said you never come over. So I go over there. I was like, "Oh, Nana, I just want to see you." As soon as I walk in, she's like, "What are you doing here? How come you're not working? How come you're not studying?" But it's, and again, that's that selflessness and the kind of
You had me at Chamorro guilt trip, man. Chamorros are the best at the guilt trip, huh?
What is like?
We'll lay a guilt trip on you for something you didn't even do, and you're gonna feel guilty about it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. And my grandpa too, man. My grandpa Jose Santos Tenorio. This guy was. I get it now. You know, when you're younger, you don't get it a lot of times. Like what's making people in your family tick, and like my grandpa's center was just always put himself last, always trying to just put food on the table. We grew up poor, you know what I mean? So he was just always working, and always that like the warden, you know, because he worked at DOC for a while, and he was a cop, and he used to drive for Governor Guerrero.
Oh wow!
So when it was just funny when he would come home from work, we would try and make sure like the house was absolutely perfect. And it's funny now because I remember when I was a kid, we hated going through it. But now that I look back, I kind of laugh about it. But he would do like this inspection when he would come home, and he'd be like, "Yo, people, you didn't make rice." It's just so funny.
Yep.
Now that I think about it, right? But when you're living and you're like, "Oh, Grandpa's so mean." I remember when I had kids, I saw a side of my grandpa I never saw before because he was always a hard ass when we were growing up. But once he had grandkids, like great grandkids actually, because we were all too old. It was like he was
turns
just,
into a big teddy bear.
I
right?
know. Oh, my nanny girl, like who is this guy?
Yeah.
Like, he used to whoop our ass. Oh,
Well, my tata, the late Juan Salas, right? I mean, he was in the Navy for more than 20 years, right? And everybody was like, and and he instilled that in all of my uncles served in like Navy, Army, and everything like that, except my dad. And my dad wanted to be in the Air Force, but he couldn't because he had bad eyes and flat feet. So my dad was the only one who did not. But like people asking, oh man, what was it like to be the grandson of like a Navy man and everything like that? And not knocking any job in the Navy, but my grandfather, was not, a gunner. He was not in the nuclear program. He was not a SEAL or anything like that. I mean, he was a steward, and that's a noble profession and everything like that. But what that taught him was work ethic, was respect, was humility, and and serving others. And even when he got out of the Navy and everything like that, he started and I'm using air quotes here for those of you who are listening to the radio, he started a construction company with he and his sons. But for the most part, they would just go around the village in Agana Heights and just be like, hey, like I see, maybe your roof's kind of, falling apart and everything like that. Me and my boys would go like set it up and everything like that. I mean, yeah, occasionally he took contract work and everything like that, but he was just doing it just to take care of community.
Stay busy, right?
So stewardship literally is in my DNA and in my blood. And that's why, my dad and my uncles always drilled into me, like, remember what Tata would do, and my grandfather actually sat me down when I was, I think I was a sophomore in high school. I'm actually slightly tearing up thinking about this, but, and we'll get to some of the comments because people are also sharing their All Souls Day memories and their family memories too, and these are fantastic. My grandfather actually sat me down, and being the oldest of 50 grandkids, he said, "Look, you're the oldest boy. You cannot screw up. I know it's a crap deal, but it is what it is. I've been hearing that way longer than when we started the show, right?" He's like, "This is what it is. I expect you to not get into trouble, to get good grades, and to set the example for all of your cousins because you set the bar for all of them, and you're basically the pace car the same way I was really, really hard on your dad." And my dad was my grandfather's lieutenant. He would have to like spank his brothers and sisters.
Wow.
When they messed up, my grandfather would just like kind of look over and be, "John, go get him." And,
Go get him, John.
And my dad, my dad could not stand it because they were really, really close family.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine that. Imagine you having to like, your younger brother used to work with us. Imagine you having to discipline JD.
Should have a couple times. But,
Okay. Real quick though, these things are scrolling by super fast. Okay.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Aguigui is saying, my dad is the oldest of 11 siblings. Wow. Gina Marie Tenorio Call is saying, in memory of your parents or grandparents, make their favorite dish to enjoy today with your family. That's a great idea.
yeah.
What would you eat to honor your grandparents, Chris?
I
Mama
can't
Bear
cook
saying
like
she's
them,
the fifth
yeah.
oldest from 13.
I can't even cook. Like my grandpa made the best kadu. Like his kadu was clean.
That's big from you because you can cook anything and you cook really, really well.
I don't even try to make kadu because my grandpa's kadu was, I don't know what he did. It was like clean. There wasn't any like grease or fat bubbles or anything weird like that.
It was perfect.
Yeah, it was very perfect. I also want to talk about my mom's sisters, Manti Gina and Manti Lolly, who we lost, way early to cancer, right? Tough times, guys. But, that's what this day is for. Sit around and share stories about those who have gone before us, which is something in our culture. Like we're always very close to our dead and those who have passed on, right? But today, maybe just put a little extra on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they like a single drop of Tabasco, maybe just don't go overboard.
Right. Yeah.
And celebrate the people, that were with us and like why they're so special to you. I lost my Nino to, my dad's younger brother Joe, a tremendous fisherman.
Wow.
Again, a fantastic student, was a brilliant mathematician, joined the Navy just like my grandfather and everything like that. And we lost him to cancer when I was in college and everything like that. Wow. So my Nino's not around anymore.
So what cemeteries do you go around to?
Because all of my uncles, because they served and my grandfather served, mostly everybody's buried at Veteran Cemetery in PD.
Yeah.
My uncle Dave is over in Manilao.
Right. Same here. So my grandpa and my grandma over at Veterans, and then up at what's the one in Emmett Hill?
Veterans, right?
No, up on top of the hill.
The one on top.
The Tiny Homes Cemetery.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where my mom's brother, my Uncle Bill, William Flores Tenorio. This guy he worked at EPOW. I don't know if any of our older audience, he was deaf mute, but he worked at EPOW, DPR for a long time. I mean, he retired with the Department of Parks and Rec. And it was funny because they always used to call him Yabo. My Uncle Bill, the late William Flores Tenorio. And they called him Yabo because he was deaf mute and he would try and like talk and he would always be like, Yabo, Yabo, Yabo. So they called him Yabo, which I don't think you could do that nowadays. You're probably like, the woke police are going to come and cuff you. They're like, no, he likes being called that. I don't care. But that's what we called him. And anyway, at 6:40, guys.
Real quick, can you read this comment, Chris, from Elizabeth Aguigui, the most recent, but like all the way down to the bottom? This is beautiful. She's sharing a memory from about her teenage years.
Elizabeth Aguigui, our friend out of Eva Beach, Hawaii, says, as a teenager, I was very tomboyish. My dad had me rotate the truck tires, go to the jungle to cut firewood and collect avocado and brown coconut. We raised pigs. And yes, I had to feed them coming home from UOG. I was the oldest, and my brother was the youngest. Ah.
Yep. And Gina, that's Chamorro work ethic right there.
Right. Gina Maria Tenorio call comments, and my grandpa's favorite foods were Kenny's onion rings and root beer floats.
Yes.
Nice. Wow, flashback.
Remember those onion rings with the big bread? Okay. Yep. I've never seen an actual onion that
they don't
big.
Really come like that.
Yeah, but the breading like increases like the diameter like times 4.
Root beer float, man. That sounds good.
Oh, and Debbie says, of course, coming from the bluegrass state, she said, remembering my dad, and Debbie, again, our condolences. She lost her father recently, and his cornbread with tomato slices topped with white gravy. Have you ever tried that? Cornbread with tomato slices and white gravy.
That sounds pretty good.
That sounds actually quite delicious, Mama
Anything
Bear.
with white gravy, I'm down. Nick comments in, good morning. Is there a mass or ceremony at the Veterans Cemetery today? No, there isn't. The masses are going to be at the churches, and Jay will have more info on that.
Yep.
Coming up. Yeah, guys, so it's an All Souls Day. Again, it's the second one in a row that's not going to be like the ones we're used to growing up. So, do what you can. Sit around and it's always interesting because, I don't know, in the Chamorro culture, it's almost like every day is All Souls Day, right?
Yep.
I mean, you can't hardly go a single day without thinking of somebody that you lost, whether it's your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your parents.
We lost my dad 3 years ago, and he literally is still with us every day because we had him cremated, so he is like right on top of the mantle.
Oh, wow.
So he's with us all the time, and that's something that my mom and my sister and my sister actually, she did the whole thing where she's got like the locket with some of the ashes, and so we always keep him literally like close to us at all times and everything, and that means a lot.
Yeah.
That was really, really good for our
guys, you should really count your blessings, especially this younger generation nowadays. I mean, maybe going back even like 10 years, because you're very lucky that we all have these cameras that we carry around called phones, right? I have one picture of my grandpa. There's a couple that are floating around on Facebook because he was in the Guam Combat Patrol after World War II. I mean, how badass is this? There's a bunch of young Chamorro men went around hunting down the Japanese stragglers after World War II, right? And so there's a couple of pictures of my grandpa on Facebook floating around, but I only have one picture of him with my son when my son was very young, my son Lennon.
Mm-hmm.
My mom has maybe a couple pictures of my grandma and maybe one of my great grandmother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so just be grateful, guys. And you know how it is. You get the photo albums and then it gets passed on one family member. And then pretty soon you're looking around here, 30 years later, like, wow, I only have one picture.
Okay, if I may, can you guys just indulge me? I got one more memory about my grandfather from my dad's side. And when I was in high school, I started on an ROTC. I was on ROTC for all 4 years. Best class I ever took, right? And it was Army ROTC up at Sanchez, right? And, my grandfather was like, all right, the weekend before the first week, we had to show our new uniform. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, right? The shirt was all I looked like a pumpkin and everything like that. He's like, nope. He goes, even though you're Army, I'm going to show you like how to wear this and everything. And then about 3 weeks later, he said, can, come up to the house on the weekend, which we always did. And I went over there and he had like a little box for me. And the box was nothing special. It was like some box. He actually gave me, man, I'm really like choking up when I think about this. He just saw that I took an interest in ROTC and possibly like respect for the military.
Right.
My grandfather actually in that box were all of his ribbons and his medals from when he was in the Navy.
Wow.
And he said, like obviously you can't wear this on your uniform and everything like that, but I see this is something that interests you, and I want you to know where you come from and and what our family has done and everything like that. And you have to, again, keep that up. And it's unbelievable that he did that, the generosity.
Well, Jay, I'm pretty sure your grandpa is looking down on you, very, very proud of his
and likewise,
grandson. Yeah.
And I'm actually getting some messages on WhatsApp from some of our coworkers, and they're like, oh, thanks for turning on the waterworks at like 6:45.
Yeah, me too.
Sean's here real quick. Okay, Sean, good morning, bro.
Hey, Sean, good morning.
What are some of your memories of All
guys.
Souls Day and celebrating?
Well, I would say that when I first came to Guam, it was trying to understand the whole thing. I think when you live away for so long, you can't really appreciate these things. And the first time I had to cover that as a news person, and it's so crazy because I'm from Guam too, right? Born, and it's hard to understand that tradition. Then over the years now, it has really become very important to our family, and I think it's a good thing that we remember them. But remember, it's not just today; it's every day, as Chris mentioned earlier in the show. I mean, if you're not doing that and appreciating those things, then I think you might want to take a step back and take that all in for what today is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. We did have F. Glenn, our good friend F. Glenn of Holidays podcast.
Who's been saying the rosary every night on Facebook, by the way. You guys should check it out. It's wonderful.
He has a comment here. My mom's favorite food was, pause for reaction, guys, pork belly stafau.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, my heart just hurt there, Glenn.
Both metaphorically
you punched me right in the heart.
At least 3 connected organs are hurting this morning.
And he still makes it too. Guys, keep your comments coming. We actually got to clock in and get to work.
Yeah.
At 6:47, there's a big show in store for you guys here on this All Souls Day. Of course, Shango and Tao. That's it. That's all podcasts. There's a new episode out. Senator Sabina Perez, Senator Tello Taidagui, Senator Frank Blas Jr. We're also, from the CNMI, we're getting their education head. Tomas Maglotny is going to jump in here and do this interview. He's doing some great work, guys. And we're going to be in